have lasting peace, we have also got to work with the Palestinians. And what that means, we have got to recognize that in Gaza, for example, in Gaza, you got an unemployment rate of 44%. You have people living in horrific poverty. You have a community that was destroyed. So if we are going to go forward, it cannot be that the United States just takes the side of Israel. We've got to work with both communities to try to do what is very, very difficult, and that is create a lasting peace in the region.
Do you think the U.S. has not been even-handed up till now?
Right, I do not think so. I think that overwhelmingly the United States time and time again has looked aside when Israel has done some bad things. I think, for example, that the growth of settlements in Palestinian territory is not acceptable to me and not conducive to the peace process. I think that the kind of destruction that was wreaked on Gaza during that war was way above what needed to be done for military purposes. A lot of civilians were killed. A lot of hospitals and schools and apartments were destroyed above and beyond what had to be done. So look, I think there is no question that there's enough blame to go around on both sides. Israel has the right to defend itself against terrorist attacks, against Hezbollah, against Hamas. But I think the United States is stronger when we work with both sides.
Secretary Clinton said that she's presided over face-to-face meetings between Prime Minister Netanyahu, for instance, and President Abbas, 3 separate sessions. She said she's had a lot of experience, obviously, in this region. Why do you think you would do a better job than a President Clinton?
Well, I'll tell you why, because I think I have shown a lot better judgment than she has on foreign policy. Look, she was Secretary of State for 4 years, and in that capacity, you gain a lot of experience. But in fact, when she was in the Senate, she heard the same evidence that I did from George Bush and Dick Cheney about going into Iraq. I not only voted against that war, I helped lead the opposition to that war. And if you go to my website, BernieSanders.com, read what I said then, back in 2002. Gives me no joy to tell you, Anderson, much of what I predicted would happen in that political vacuum with Saddam Hussein gone, in fact, has happened. Secretary Clinton, then Senator, heard the same evidence. She voted for the war. As Secretary of State, she worked very hard, as the New York Times documented, to overthrow Gaddafi in Libya. The results have not been good. Once again, regime change, without thinking about it a whole lot, created a political vacuum. ISIS came in. Secretary Clinton, in a debate that I had with her a month or so ago, she talked about Henry Kissinger praising her achievements. In my view, Henry Kissinger was one of the worst secretaries of state in the modern history of the United States of America. Very destructive policies. So I think Secretary Clinton and I look at foreign policy in very different ways. I am confident that I have the judgment to bring together people to create a foreign policy that works for Israel, that works for the Palestinians, that works for the people throughout this world.
Well, one of the things that Secretary Clinton talks about in her APEC speech today is continuing military aid to Israel with the most advanced weapon systems available. You in the past have said your long-term hopes that U.S. policy shifts from more military aid to Israel to more economic aid. The U.S. gave about $3 billion a year in military aid to Israel. Would you continue that military aid, that much military aid?
Well, I think we've got to do both. I think Israel needs military aid. I can't give you the exact number, but this is what I will also tell you. I want to see the United States providing economic assistance to the region. I want to see the United States working on water issues in the region, which are a major problem in many of the Arab countries. I want to see the international community, with the help of Israel, with the help of the United States, rebuilding the devastation in Gaza. At the end of the day, long term, not going to happen tomorrow, I would much prefer to see money going into that region for economic development, schools, healthcare, infrastructure, rather than just weapons of destruction.
But